Councilman Doucet.
Yes. Dr. Tohme, the briefing you gave us was basically what we have gotten prior to the budget. Okay? Discussions we have had over this, this all comes back to how we convey and what we say. I've heard citizens tell me that they receive calls. I mean, they made calls for have water utilities things, and some people have told them, well, we don't have money in the budget to do this. We don't have money in the budget to do that. I've heard people tell me that members of council made comments about not having money to do these water projects because we didn't approve a water rate. I hear you talk about 2008, 2018, no water rates. I was on council most of that time. I'm very aware of it. You talk about the water utilities being in debt to the general fund for $54,000. That's the same thing people were talking about when I came on council. That's why we got that all taken out, because there's no such thing as the water utilities owe the general fund. The general fund is the money we have to operate in this city. Water utilities is a fund. We don't fund it through general fund. What we do is we establish fees so that it can better fund itself. It's supposed to be self-funded. But you keep talking about public health and safety. That's why sometime money will come from general fund to fund water utilities. Because when it becomes public health and safety, that is what the money is for. And you'll find that is common. That phrase of you can't fund water utilities from general fund. Now, don't say you can't. You see, I think that's the problem that the citizens are having, and the way we convey and the way we communicate. And I believe in saying it like it is. Yeah. So let's talk about this water rate. From the first time it was presented to this council, you talk about all the number of times it failed. Each time it failed, we said the same thing. The first time we said, let's get something more compatible and not let's put it all on the citizens' back. We said, bring us back something we're going to do on our side of the house to fund or to do these projects. Tell us what we're going to do, and then we'll look at a rate increase. No one never said we're going to have a rate increase. The staff have failed till this day to bring us anything in the way of, well, we can't do 30 million, but this is something we need to do. We'd like to do this. It'll cost this amount of money. That should have been done and brought back to us during the budget time, because if that was done, we'd have passed a rate increase. But each time you all came back to us, you came back with the same thing, giving us all these numbers, what we can't do, what you said. You didn't bring back nothing that says, well, we're going to eliminate these and we want to do these. We went out and talked to our industries and tried to get them to help this or that or with this or that. Never once have this come back to the council. Every time you or anybody have gotten before that podium and talked about water rates, you all keep telling us what was done in the past, what can be done. You tell us, give us a rate. Last year you got a rate, you're supposed to have a pipe bursting crew included in that. It did not happen. But this year is like, it's a crime because you don't have one and we didn't give you the rates. You know, it just gets to the point that these briefings, they're the same thing. They've been the same briefing for 5 years. But these briefing never goes back to say other way of funding. See, my problem with the staff and management up to this point, that you all haven't really brought us alternatives. You all have every time told us you can't do it. You won't be able to do nothing because we didn't give this raise. You all never came to us and say, okay, you can't give me 7, can you give me 4%? Can you give me 3% so that we could do something? No, you all never brought that. It has not been presented to this council. You say 30 million, the council agreed to. We agreed to 30 million, and if you go back to the actual meeting, it was stated, I said it. Sometime we may not be able to do 30, but sometime we may be able to do more than 30, depending on what kind of funding we get. So don't zero in on a 30. Let's zero in on what we could be done. I've been waiting for this staff to come to this council with something. Say, give us a 3%. We need something. Give us a 4%. No, that hasn't been the case. Everybody want to talk about it. It's all about citizens. And this I'm going to say last. Citizens says we don't mind getting rate increases, but we don't want to pay for what the city have failed to do over the years. And that's fair. That's why I said no one came back with a rate increase. Your rate increase for this year recommended that you stick to this thing you keep putting in our face. But in 2024, which was last year, we gave a 7%. We approved a 7% raise. And whoever you got for to do the study, they recommended 3.6. So actually, last year you done almost twice as much. Okay. In 2021, we had a 23% increase for water, and we had 12% increase for sewer. So it was running greater than water. So these increases we get is for sewage and water. We never said we won't do an increase, but we have not said we're going to allow citizens to take all the responsibility. That was my stance, and I'm quite sure most of the other council members. We never said no. When you look up there and say fail, what you need to remember, the measure didn't fail. You all failed to bring something to us that we can actually say yes and then go back to our citizens and explain to them why it was so important. Bonds, CEOs, I saw something up there dealing with the certificate of obligation, the scale and stuff you made. If we're going to deal with that type of information, bring our financial advisor before us and let us explain to her what we want to try to do, how can we done it. That's how we done this 50 million certificate of obligation for streets when we couldn't fund streets. That's how we did streets. And when you come before us, remember, some of us are listening. Some of us are listening to what you say, and some of us are going to go do the research. But this seat I'm sitting in, I got to balance this. I got to balance to support you, and I got to also represent citizens. And when you first came with the rate, I was willing to support you. But through this whole process, you haven't said anything or worked with us, the council members who opposed it, to try to get us to be able to help you, and at the same time, our constituents know that we really fought for them, and we really hear them, and we're not going to say what you want us to say or what we want to say. We're going to say what they want us to say because we represent them. We can't have this one way, and this has turned citizens into this thing. The general, and don't say this, the general fund cannot fund anything out of utility. That is not a true statement.
May I respond?
No. That's not a true statement. You can fund things from the general fund, okay? So that's not the case. We can. Okay. The last thing, the water meters. You said that the attorney had the bids or something. That's what you said.
The bid package is ready, and the city attorney's office is reviewing it.
It's in the city's attorney's office
for review before we put it out for bids.
Right now.
Yes, sir.
You sure?
Jeff, are we sure? Yes, sir, we are sure.
I understand. It was dropped off late Friday afternoon.
Oh, okay.
It was dropped off with one of my staff members. I was uninformed about it, but I will make sure that we make it a priority, and we'll set up policies and procedures for departments to be able to assign things to the law department for review, so we can track who has things.
All I gotta say is, if staff want my support in this, all you have to do is take in consideration what I and some others said from day one before we discussed this, and bring us something in that fashion, and I'll be glad to support you. But giving me the same reports and telling citizens what I'm hearing they being told, that'd be a no-go for me forever.